Hi, I'm Ashley McElwain, licensed marriage and family therapist and founder and CEO of Foundation Restoration. Welcome to Foundation Restoration's Real Talk podcast, where you'll find real people discussing real issues while offering real help at the intersection of clinical expertise and a biblical perspective. We're so glad you've joined us.
Happy New Year, friends. So excited to be kicking off 2023 with you all. Please excuse my voice. I've been battling a little bit of a cold here for a bit, so my voice might sound a little off, but I'm so happy to be joining you as we kick off a new year. Which brings up our topic for today, reflections and resets. New year, with the start of a new year, it's always a time where you start to hear about resolutions. I'm going to lose X amount of weight. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to eat healthier. The reality, though, is that resolutions typically fail. They're often started with good intentions, but they also often lack substance or a real plan. Most people don't make it out of January, still pressing on in their resolution. And it's not that resolutions are a bad thing. It's the start of a new year is a great time to pause and reflect and reset. But how we do, how are we going to do more than just throw a resolution out there? Again, those resolutions often fizzle and fade within days, weeks, or months. So I want to offer an alternate perspective and approach to these resolutions that goes beyond a list of hopeful to-dos. And so today we're going to be talking about reflections and resets. My first thought is reflection. What is it? Well, we really need to look into our past to approach our future. I know a lot of times people say, oh, you can't live looking in the rearview mirror, you'll crash. And certainly there's a lot of wisdom and truth in that, but I'm not talking about staring in a rearview mirror. I am talking about gazing at the past, glancing at the past so that we can gaze at our future. And the reality is that we have to learn from our past. We have to reflect on what we've learned and where we've come from in order to course correct and press on so that we don't make the same mistakes and so that we can learn from the things that we've experienced. And so we do have to pause. And if it means pulling over to the side of the road to take a moment to look in that rear view mirror, those rear view mirrors are there for a reason, right? And so I would encourage you that we have to learn from our past. So again, we're not going to live there, but we are going to glance at it to see, what did I do well? You look at 2022 and you say, what did I do well in this past year? What did I experience? What have I learned? What did I accomplish? Or where did I fall short? You kind of take inventory of where you're at the end of it all, and then kind of figuring out what you do with that. And so I think that reflection of what I did well, what I accomplished, the highlights, the lowlights, it's really important for us to look at that to figure out, okay, so here at the start of a new year, which is a logically good starting point for kind of what I would say is a reset. As you look at that past, as you take that inventory, it gives you a little bit of a better idea of how to adjust the heading of where you want to go. I would say the second part of kind of that reflection, and my second point would be that in that reflection, you learn to kind of declutter. And so as you've reflected, as you're taking inventory, then you start asking yourself, what do I need to get rid of to create space for what I want or need in my life? So you kind of pause and you look at your life and you decide what you want to reorganize, what needs to be cleared out, how to clean things up. And then you're able to create, activate, initiate. And this decluttering can happen internally and externally. So maybe you look and you say to yourself, man, I am just not feeling great. I'm tired all of the time. My health feels very precarious. Well, then maybe you need to look and say, what am I doing that is inhibiting me from experiencing the fullness of my health? I know for me, I was doing quite well in kind of establishing a good routine of taking care of myself, which is not something I'm typically really good at. I'm better at taking care of other people, probably a hazard of being a therapist. But I know for me, headed into 2023, I realize I don't like, in taking inventory, I don't like how I feel. I don't like how tired I am. I just don't enjoy the physical feeling of kind of where I'm at. And so in 2023, I have some very specific calculated steps I know I need to take to get my health kind of back on track and to feel good and confident and healthy. And so, I think part of that decluttering for me is realizing I have to create that space to be able to care for myself, whether it's getting the medical attention I need or creating the financial ability to go and get the supplements I need, or creating the time and the place and space and energy to be able to exercise again. So again, that decluttering is a really important part of that reflection, where you assess what is in your life that maybe needs to be cleared out, reorganized, or cleaned up, so that you can then create, activate, and initiate the things that are important. And again, that can be an internal process of things, or it can be external. Again, that's external meaning like our relationships, or, again, internal being our thoughts, our feelings, external being kind of our relationships, our circumstances. And then that would bring us to kind of my third point, which is the reset. And the reset is basically a reorientation, which is a little bit different than a resolution. A resolution is just kind of this assertion of this is what I'm going to do. A reset is saying, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and pause, and I'm going to reorient myself in a meaningful way. And so I feel like it's kind of taking what you already have, but it's kind of putting everything back in its rightful place to reorient and reorganize yourself in a really meaningful way. Now, the steps involved, I think, in a reset is, one, looking at your reality. So my mom is the queen of saying there are seasons in life, and I have valued that wisdom so much, really specifically since I became a mom. And so realizing that life is very seasonal, and so we do have to look at the realities of our life, assess the circumstances around us, and kind of ask ourselves the really tough question of, is what we're desiring to see happen in this new year, the things that we want to accomplish, is it feasible? Because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. So I think about this as like when I was a new mom, the demands of being a new mom was quite overwhelming. I felt like getting a shower or going to get the mail sometimes felt like huge victories in those early days. So shout out to all you new moms who maybe are feeling a little defeated. Just know that this really is a season. And so, I think about that. And as a new mom, I had a lot more limitations on me in that season, where I wasn't able to accomplish a lot of things that I really wanted to accomplish. And sometimes that's really tough to just accept the reality of a season like that has a lot more limitations. Or perhaps, I think about, for me, with the end of a year is when we do all of our fundraising here at Foundation Restoration. And so really, I feel like November and December, a lot of times things just fall by the wayside because I'm so focused on trying to do everything that comes with raising money. And so I know in that season, it's not going to be a banner season for me to accomplish specific goals. outside of raising money. The things, the reset, the things that you're wanting to see happen and accomplish in the new year, you have to frame that in the reality of your circumstances so that you don't get discouraged, you don't feel like a failure. You need to be able to show yourself some grace and then set manageable goals and dreams for yourself. So again, you have to look at it within the reality of what is happening in your life so that you don't get discouraged. My next point to kind of those resets is discover and know your why. I think one of the biggest reasons that resolutions fail is that we focus so much on the what. I'm going to work out every single day. And the reality is the what without the why. Why do you want to work out every single day? And what you need to start doing is digging for your real why. So you might start out and say, I want to work out every single day. And I'd say, okay, why? Because I want to lose weight. Okay, why? Because I want to feel good. Okay, why do you want to feel good? Well, because I want to be a better mom and I want to be a better wife and I want to have more confidence. Okay, so now we're starting to get to the real why. And I think it's really important that when we set a goal, we understand our why. Our why, our motivation is what is going to fuel us. Because we always come back to that. Oh man, I don't feel like going and exercising today. But I really want to feel confident. I want to feel healthy for my kids, for my husband. I want to feel good for myself. And so I think that at the end of the day, when you know that, that's the thing that pushes you and propels you through the discomforts, through the discouragement, through the obstacles. It's kind of a fuel of sorts. When you know your why, it helps you to press on in your what. And I think also it's really helpful for you to know part of that why is the who. Who are you doing this for? And I do think it's incredibly important to make sure that you're part of that equation. And so when I say that, I want to look good for someone else. I don't think that's sustainable. Really, at the end of the day, that why has to be this deep sense of this is who I am, this is important to me, and that's going to help sustain you in your why and your what. My next thing is be inquisitive. One of the things that many people, and this kind of ties into the last point, one of the things that a lot of people don't often do is ask themselves good quality questions. That, like I said, okay, you want to work out every day. Why? Why is that important to you? Why I want to look good? Okay, why? For whom? What does looking good mean to you? How do you know when you look good? And so it's kind of taking and digging and digging and digging a little deeper and a little deeper so that you truly understand your motivation, your thoughts, your feelings around something. And it helps you, I think, anchor yourself in something more substantial and significant and important than the typical surface approach to things. And getting real with yourself, I think, yields a lot more fruitfulness in our efforts. The other thing I would say is make your reset, make your goals attainable. I want to start running. Okay, well, what you want to start running? Tell me more about that. I want to run a marathon. Okay, that sounds like a great reset. Let's talk a little bit more about why do you want to run a marathon? And as you start doing that, it's like, well, you're not going to start running a marathon that first day. And so what is the 1 degree? What is the one step that you can take? You can't dive in the deep end with your goals, in the sense that start with something reasonable, something simple that you can accomplish to then propel you. Because when we set an attainable goal, you know what? I think for the first 2 weeks of the new year, I am going to try to run a mile a day, 2 times a week. Okay, well, when you do that, that's an attainable goal. You do that, you start to feel good. You're like, wow, I did it. Okay, you know what? Now I'm going to build momentum. And so for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to run 3 days a week, a mile to a mile and a half. And so you start building that momentum and keep yourself encouraged with realistic goals that you can grow and build upon. And so again, rather than starting on the deep end, diving in and getting discouraged or injured, you start with something a little bit smaller, more manageable, and you start building on it. And so you ask yourself, after you figure out your why, you know what your what is the next step? What is the very next step? And keeping in mind, sometimes goals don't have to be super lofty. 1 degree can completely change the trajectory of your journey and where you ultimately end up. So keep in mind, sometimes a reset is just reorienting yourself 1 degree. And so what's your 1 degree? What's your 1 step? What is your next action item to be able to achieve your reset? And then my final thought would be to check in with the Lord. So you say, okay, Lord, I want to reflect on this past year. What have you taught me? What have I learned? How have I grown? How have I fallen short? Where have I gotten bumped and beat up? Where have I seen victories and highlights? Where have I seen your sovereignty? Where have I seen your love and your grace? And you reflect, and then you say, okay, Lord, here's my assessment, my inventory of this past year. And now I'm going to look and what do I need to get rid of? What do I need to reorganize? Where do I need to declutter my life to create more space? Space for the things that you desire for me. And you invite him into your dreams and your goals and your plans. And you ask yourself, do these things align with the Word of God? Right? The reality of life is that we need the Lord. He's the vine, we're the branches. And apart from him, we can't do anything. So we have to look at our plans. We have to look at our resets. We have to look at our goals and say, Lord, how can I make sure that this aligns with your desires for me, your truth, your word, and how can I invite you in to enable me to do this through the power of the Holy Spirit in my life? And I think asking yourself, do you have peace about your goals and your dreams? Do you feel that sense of, yes, this is what the Lord desires for me, and he is with me in it, and these are the opportunities that he's placing before me, and so I'm going to continually lay them at his feet and rely on him and seek him and pray. And I would encourage you, first and foremost, as you do this process, whatever, the reflections, the resets, kind of planning out, thinking through this upcoming year, would be, first of all, to just create some time and space to sit with the Lord at his feet. Listen to the Holy Spirit. Listen to what the Lord is revealing to you and where he's leading you in this new year. Let's make 2023 purposeful, prayerful, productive. Let's reflect, let's learn, let's grow, let's reset and press on with your why. I think about Ephesians 5:15 through 17. It says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." And that's my prayer for you, for me, for all of us as we kick off a new year, is that we would reflect on the journey of 2022 and all that God has brought us through, all that he's blessed us with, all of the things that we have learned along the way. We are not in the same place that we were January of 2022. And so as you sit and ponder the place that you're currently at here in January of 2023, I just ask and pray that the Lord would show you what He desires for you, for me, in this coming year, what opportunities He has that He wants us to seize, and how we can make sure that we walk alongside of Him through it all, making the most of every opportunity He gives us, making wise decisions and carefully plotting a course that would glorify Him and that would make a difference in our world. Well, friends, this concludes this episode of the Real Talk podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so glad you did. Remember, you were handcrafted by God, are dearly loved, and greatly needed in this world. We look forward to seeing you back here next time.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Real Talk. To stay connected, follow Foundation Restoration on Instagram and Facebook at FND Restoration, or visit us at www.foundationrestoration.org for more information. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to follow or subscribe and to leave us a 5-star review so more people can find our show. Foundation Restoration is a 501c3 nonprofit ministry that believes marriage is the heartbeat of society and exists to equip, strengthen, and restore marriages through clinical expertise and a biblical perspective. Please consider supporting our ministry with a tax-deductible donation at www.foundationrestoration.org. Your gift makes programs like this possible. Thank you for your generosity and partnership.